Alright everyone, it's time for a fairly short literary update, not in the occult literature section, of course, because it is not occult in nature, it is political in nature. This is a short treatise, 26 pages, link in the description as well, by the way, to this work on Amazon, 2 other links to my blogs. I've got other works that I've written and plenty that I've edited on there. Most of those are occult in nature, but there are, in the My Works section, there are some political works. After the Ashes, some of the other booklets I've written. This work goes hand in hand with components of other works that I've made, including After the Ashes, among others. Essentially talking about propaganda and projection. Some of the strategies used by power groups, whether it's a media outlet, a corporation, a bank sort of thing, a politician or a political group, that they try to use to fool you. To lie to you, and essentially to overhaul your entire view of reality until you don't really know what's real and what's not. And it boils down to them all being really good method actors. JFK was a good method actor. He had people convinced that he was like the indomitable very figure of the Olympian male, the most charismatic, wonderful person. Even now, decades and decades after he's died, we look back and it's like, wow, JFK was such a man. He was a slightly pudgy, middle-aged dude with decent speaking skills, but he flanked himself with the flag and stood in front of marble columns and delivered soaring speeches that mostly other people wrote for him, while flanked by generals and scientists and, his very attractive wife. And so it worked. And people had an image of him that was several points above what you would otherwise have given him. Trump does this. Clinton certainly did this. Even the angle of shots used at political rallies is used to carefully craft an illusion of the number of people there. Now, the media knows this well. Of course, Trump, he spoke of this openly to the great applause of his fans. And this was very funny, by the way. Oh, well, they'll never give you a wide shot of my rally because they want you to believe there's like 100 people here. There's really like 10, 15,000. That's actually true. Of course, it's standard practice. He did this at Clinton rallies too. But it is true. They wouldn't want to show you that larger shot. He's right. At Clinton rallies, they also had a nice tight shot. That's because a lot of times there are only a few hundred people at the rallies. So it's a carefully crafted illusion. What you're seeing only gives you a very small chunk of the truth. And so you can't make any in a vacuum. Most people watching it on TV, as they were, or on a live stream, they had no clue how many people were at the rally unless the media told them. So if the media didn't want to tell them because it broke their narrative, they just wouldn't mention how many people were there. Oh, Clinton had a nice big rally. Oh, how many people were there? Like 200. They're not going to mention it. Trump had a rally today. There's 18, 19,000 people there. Oh, yeah, he just had a rally. That's all they would say, if they didn't like him, of course. If they did, then they would put that in the front line. Breitbart's headline, Trump draws enormous crowd, legendary rally size. Bernie Sanders, he was treated the same way. Sometimes it's a lie by omission entirely. They don't report on something. And there are other strategies that they use, and I put these, some of them in the book. I also speak about attempts to character assassinate the alt media, like the new wave, the post-social media era giants of analysis and talk, something that I do myself. You would think of people like Sargon Molyneux, others, Paul Joseph Watson, people who are more independent than the old guard media. They manage to make money. They manage to have enormous audiences. Some of them, they're pulling in more per hour of actual material they're making. They're pulling in more views than Anderson Cooper, and yet they're shit on repeatedly. And people act like they're not entertaining, they're not important, and they have no journalistic ethics, which is nonsense. But that's the projection. They projected for years, the legacy media projected YouTube is nothing more than a plaything. Oh, it's not really that important. And it's like back in the old days when people that were like from the fax machine era, they said, oh, the internet ultimately is not going to be that important to the US economy or the world economy. It's going to be an interesting thing. Yeah, it's nice to be able to instantly send these little messages, an email. It's nice to be able to chat with somebody, through IRC client. These are fun, and you play some games, but it's not, you can't build much more onto it. We're basically at the limits of technology, which is nonsense. YouTube's the same way. A lot of people early on, they treated it as a gimmick. Now, of course, it's one of the main news sources in the entire world. There's a reason why all those legacy media outlets and all their other business partners that advertise them really want to go after the alt media. Yeah, it's all about the money in that case. It's not always. Sometimes it's about power for power's sake. It's about ego. But this is just a fairly short work that goes into some of the details about these things that weren't added to the other works that mention propaganda. I wanted to have something sort of to wrap the topic up in lieu of having a longer work on that specific subject, because then it would be, some of it would just be filler. If I tried to make a full-length work on the topic, I'd be basically talking out my ass for the most part. I like to keep things terse. On video, I can rant. I can use filler. It's fun. I like to sit there and rant. On paper, I like to keep it shorter, more simple, no filler, none of the, like some people, they have like 10 pages of interesting content in a book, and the book's 300 pages long. I don't get it. It drives the cost up to, what's the point? That's just not me. So again, link in the description to my work on Amazon on this subject. Projection and propaganda, brief treatment of the same, and links to my books, blogs. If you're interested in the occult, of course it's almost Halloween here, there's plenty there for you. Most of it is stuff that I've edited, but there is a section for, I think it's about 20 different works now that I've written. Most of them are booklet length, but there are some full length. Morbid Stories, After the Ashes, Psychedelic Spirituality, Fruits of Eden. And I'm proud of them all. The fact that I've actually, I've released them and people buy them, it's overjoying to me. My name's on something that could be in Timbuktu. It's actually awesome. That's about all. Peace out.